Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum, built for business by American Express.
The NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in select states. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Fergal.
And we're from Movie Smash.
Comic book movies are having a golden age right now with the MCU.
Movies based on comics aren't necessarily a new thing, but they're a big thing.
Join us every other Tuesday on Movie Smash.
We explore these movies and find some hidden gems.
Every other week, we revisit some of the best.
And some of the worst movies based on comics or graphic novels.
Was Green Lantern as bad as you remember?
Heck no!
Is Time Cop the most accurate time travel movie ever created?
Absolutely.
Was Mystery Men way ahead of its time?
Should they be revisited? Should they be forgotten?
Join us on Movie Smash and find out. Listen wherever you find your fine podcasts.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
Sesame, billionaires are pure angelic beings and shall not be criticized under my watch ever, forever, for all eternity. And I'm sure one day both of us are going to become one. And so we just got to keep that grind set going on in Carta.
I think that might be the longest middle name you've ever had.
I think it is, actually. Yep.
And especially one that has nothing to do with the topic of the episode. But
no, it doesn't. But it does have a topic to do what we were talking about. And
yeah. Right before we got on the air, we were talking about a dumbass on Facebook who's supporting billionaires and thinks that it's wrong to criticize billionaires and doesn't understand that billionaires should pay their fair share, and thinks that, you know, billionaires are like these angelic beings that deserve everything, and we should, you know, he lacks empathy, this person. That's all it is. Empathy, and it breaks down to the fact that in this world, we should be teaching reading comprehension and just understanding of things to people and not just the surface level of things. But yeah, anyways, so speaking of school and writing,
yeah, it's a good segment.
This today we are covering a classic film from 1985, if you want to call it classic. I don't know, it just depends. It's called Just One of the Guys. It's one of these movies that I kind of wanted to watch, and Sesame suggested it. I was thinking of it too, because I just wanted to see if it actually holds up in 2025 as this airs, because this will air in 2025. But we're recording it in 2024, just a little behind the scenes and how the sausage is made here. Yeah.
For want of better word.
Yes, the sausage is made.
Which is interesting because of what we're talking about. Anyway.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even think about that. That was not intentional. So the film, Just One of the Guys, it was directed by Lisa Gottlieb, written by Dennis Feldman and Jeff Franklin. And yes, it's Jeff Franklin, the creator of Full House.
Wow.
I just discovered that as I said it. I was like, wait, yep, that's Jeff Franklin. Okay, and the film stars Joyce Heiser as Terry Griffith, Clayton Rohner as Rick Morehouse, Billy Jane, who is a Facebook friend of mine, as Buddy Griffith. Connie Hudson as Denise, the 80s greatest villain, William Zabka as Big Tolan, Lee McCluskey as Kevin, Sherilyn Fenn, one of my first crushes as a kid. I say that about a lot of women, but yeah, she was. As Sandy, Deborah Goodrich as Deborah, Ari Gross, another one of my Facebook friends, as Willie, Robert Fieldsteel, as Phil, Stuart Charno as Reptile, among other people. That's all I'm going to mention right now. So
it's a pretty big cast.
It is, yeah, but Billy Jane, by the way, went as Billy Jacoby at the time. He changed it. His real name is Billy Jane, and he went back to his real name later on. That was his acting name at the time when he was a kid. So so the short synopsis from the Internet Movie Database that we have here is: Terry feels discriminated against when the summer job at the Sun Tribune goes to two guys. She decides to do something about it. She dresses like a guy and gets a haircut. Well, students at the other high school in town notice. Girls notice him. That's what it says. I don't know. Okay, whatever.
True.
Yeah, that's the synopsis.
I mean, it's decent.
These Internet Movie Database synopsises sometimes I don't get, but I mean, this is kind of works. So yeah, your initial or new thoughts on this film after watching it, in present day.
Oh man, 40
definitely years it come out.
That's insane, man. 40. Definitely just watched it through a fresh pair of eyes. Well, not literally, of course, but
like, where'd you get them?
Yeah, exactly. I went to the store, they just popped them out. It's,
the eye transplant store.
The eye transplant store, yes. It's just like, just try these on for sight. The third one was a charm, so I used to watch this a lot when I was a kid, if you believe it or not. When I was sick home from school. For some reason, that was one of the movies I would watch with my brother. He probably understood it better than I did. And so, ironically, I don't remember anything else about this movie except for the part when they're playing basketball at gym and she's on the Skins team. And so she pretends to have a stomach ache so she doesn't have to take off her shirt. And that's literally the only scene I remember as a kid was her pretending to be sick. And so everything else is just completely new to me. And so I think there's a few things I did remember here and there, like Willie and Zapka lifting the tables and lunch and stuff like that. But just these really, really parts of the movie that didn't really have any substance really. And so watching that, much later on, I really like it. Actually, I think it's a really good movie. I think it does hold up in a lot of ways, but sometimes a little bit like her brother constantly thinking about sex is like, okay, we get it, you're a hornball. Do we need to have the whole movie be about that characteristic? You know what I mean?
Some of those things I understand. I mean, I felt the same way, but I understand because that was, the 80s. That's the way that they represented teens and 80s. It at least holds up in not being, I mean, there some of the terminology when it comes to things like transvestite versus transgender was used, transvestite was used once in it, which is not really a term used anymore. And transsexual is another term that they used in there that doesn't apply today. Not saying that Terry was trans at all, because this was done for a reason. So it could be, I mean, I don't know. I mean, because I'm not trans, I don't know if this would be offensive to trans people, but I know it's actually, from what I've read, Joyce Heiser, the star of it, says that she said I would say the most interesting and surprising thing that I've learned about Just One of the Guys is the huge influence it had on young gay and transgender women. Or no, that's what the director said. I'm sorry, that Gottlieb said. I learned this when I did a live chat on Jezebel a few years ago. For hours, women posted their stories, and I was genuinely moved. So yeah,
I would say so. I mean, there's a few things that maybe not hold up, maybe some of the phrases and stuff, but here and there, I think generally it was pretty sensitive, I think, to the issues. I'm not saying the movie was about trans is awesome or whatever. I just mean in general, because I remember there's a scene in the movie where she is basically confronting her teacher about why he didn't pick her to be the person to do the internship or whatever. And it's right after he's talking to another teacher, talking about her body. I mean, she's a high school student, remember, and saying like, "Oh well, we should flunk her so that she has to stay in high school one more year." And her teacher is like laugh. He's not the one saying it, but he's kind of laughing along,
He's
with
laughing
it.
along with it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is still just as bad.
Those are like insensitive things, but I think they were there to kind of prove a point, because you would do that in a modern movie too, to prove the point that that guys are kind of sexist, which, I mean, it might be over the top in that scene, but it's still true to life, sadly.
Right,
I mean, it is a lot more sensitive about issues, though, I think, than some of the contemporary films, like some of the I would say, like, even the like John Hughes films, like 16 Candles, with your Asian racism throughout the whole movie. And and I think that even though Buddy is like this horn dog in this movie, I don't think he's as gross in a lot of ways as Anthony Michael Hall's character in 16 Candles. It's just different things like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, the point I was going to make, though, was that when she confronted him, he basically said, "It's like, oh, you're a girl, and it's like kind of, like you're too sensitive, or basically whatever." And then when she goes to the other school and she's presenting as a guy, the teacher is saying that she's not sensitive enough. So it's like that issue of like, you can't do anything right as a woman. Like, it's always, you know what I mean? Like, you're either too much this or too little that, type of thing. So I thought that was kind of...
Yeah, it is. Because it'll show. I mean, it shows the sexism that exists in the world, especially in the 80s. The height of the Reagan 80s.
Yep. Yep.
So, what goes down in this movie? What happens? What's the happening?
What's happening? Well, a lot of things happen in this movie. It's one of those movies that's actually chock full of stuff. It's actually really well made that way. It's not boring. Like, it's got a lot of stuff going on. So it's really good pacing. I always criticize pacing a lot in movies. I think this movie has almost perfect pacing. I really do. I think it's actually fantastic on how they were able to do it. That's usually one of the first things I always look for in a movie is, does it feel too long or feel too short? This movie feels exactly as long as it's supposed to be. So that's A+ on that front right there. So she her Sandy, is that her name, Sandy? In the movie,
who the main character?
Her name's Sandy.
Terry.
Sorry, Terry. Yeah, Terry. Never mind. Her friend is Sandy, right? Sandy's someone else.
Sandy is Sherilyn Fenn's character, the girl that's interested in her when she's a guy.
Right. Okay. So
with a dark hair. Yeah.
Right. So Terry, she wants to be a journalist. She's like one of the top in her class. She really wants to win this competition so she could get a summer internship at this. I forgot the name of it. Sun Times or something like that.
Sun Times. Yeah, it's like a local. It's like the local newspaper in the town she lives in.
Yeah, and so she thinks like she's a shoo-in, not Elizabeth Shue, as in like Karate Kid. And there's lots of Karate Kid reference, by the way, which is interesting. So teacher says no, and she's like, why? He basically says because you're a girl. I mean, he didn't say that, but that was kind of what he was implying. And he's like, you could just be a model or something if this doesn't work out, because you're pretty. Again, a male teacher telling his high school girl student that she's pretty. Anyway, and right after laughing along to another. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There are things like that can really hurt you. Like, even if it's not sexist, that a teacher can say to you, like, one of my favorite teachers, I still loved her as a teacher and love her. She's passed away since I was in high school. But one time said to me something that I think was good intentioned, because at the time I really wanted to be an actor. Yeah. And she said, Michael, you might want to have something to fall back on. But when you're like 17 or 18 and somebody tells you that, it kind of hits you differently than when you're in your 40s. It's like,
yeah, it's a little bit different. Yeah, I know. So to him saying that to her too, I mean, that would just have that same kind of effect. Like, whoa, dude, like, chill out. Yeah. But it's the 80s, so she was kind of used to that. So like a lot of the girls just sort of like they just kind of took it kind of in a lot of ways, because like, well, it's how they are and it's how men are and blah 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 or whatever. And it's like, even if it's like your fucking teacher. And so she's like, and she goes home and she's kind of upset and stuff. And her boyfriend is like a college guy, and he basically tells her the same thing too. Like, yeah, it's cool and stuff, but like, you could be a model though, your teacher's right. And it's like, my God, like, yeah, she could be a model, but like that's not what she wants to do. So like, why you keep bringing it up? Like,
Yeah.
it's like saying, oh well, you're really good at baseball, but like, let's say you hate baseball with a passion. Like, let's say your dad made you play it, you don't like it, but you happen to be really great at it, and you're like, nope, just play baseball because you're good at it, and forget everything else. Like, it's just like,
yeah, it's like I've known people that have been, like you said, like my nephew's a really good swimmer, but he doesn't always like swimming. So it's like, he's
like,
got other hobbies and stuff, but he's come around to it and began to like it again. But at one point he just didn't want to go to swim practice. He didn't want to do anything, but he was like the best swimmer on his team. So it's like,
right. It's one of those things where it's like, just because you're good at something doesn't necessarily mean that's what you have to do. Although it is good to think about like, oh, I could do this if I need to, but like,
yeah.
Anyway, so she's kind of mad at him. Her boyfriend's not being very supportive, obviously. Her brother is this 15-year-old kid who's like completely obsessed with getting laid. And again, I think they're playing this up because I don't remember being that way when I was 15. Not to the extent. I mean, this kid's all he thinks about. Like,
I mean, literally, guys probably think about sex all the time when they're teenagers, but
not to that extent. No way.
Where you're like so vocal about it all the time, So,
I was not that way. I mean, yeah, I thought about it a lot, but like I did other shit. I played guitar. I was cracked up. I mean, like I was not just plastering my room full of naked models. That's the other thing too. His parents just let him do that. He's like 15. Like,
they're to be fair, their parents are out of town for the whole movie. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know if he normally has Playboy centerfolds hanging on his walls, or he just did it because his parents were out of town.
But that's a weird thing to do anyway. Like, your parents are going to be gone for 2 weeks, and you're like, hey, better plaster my wall full of nude photos. Like, really? For 2 weeks? Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had like a poster of Paula Abdul on my wall when I was a kid because I thought she was cute, but I never put up like a, naked women on my walls, So it's
I know.
Yeah.
And so, she says like, I wish I was a guy. And she's like, no, you don't, because you'll think about sex all the time and it's torturous, blah, 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 whatever. Again, another stereotype, too, of like thinking that like girls and women don't think about sex either.
But
just boys and men who think about that. And the woman is just like a vessel for their pleasure type of thing. It's like, okay.
It's a lot of things when it comes to writing, like, you especially back then, you had to kind of just make people one-dimensional, So...
He's definitely a one-dimensional character in this movie. He's the worst. Anyway, so she knocks on the door and to dress as a guy to trick him, and it works. And so she's like, "Oh, cool! I can definitely do this then." And he's like, "No, you tricked me because I wasn't really paying attention or whatever." It's like, yeah, that's the whole point. Like, you're not paying attention, so like you just proved her point for you. Thank you for doing that. I guess like, good job. But anyway, so she's like, asking her 15-year-old brother, like, how to act like a guy, which is probably the worst person to ask for advice for, but that's all she had. And so, like, immediately, though, he starts acting like a stereotypical black pimp from, like, one of those 1970s, like, blaxploitation films. Like, so that's what it means to be a guy, is like...
It was like a villain in a Shaft movie or something.
Like the way he was walking, I'm like, dude, this is embarrassing, man. Like, I think even back then that would be like cringe and embarrassing for someone watching that movie. Like, oh god, like this. Okay,
I mean, to be fair, it's the closest thing they have to a black person in the movie.
That is true. I don't think there's a single. Good point. I don't think there is a single black person in this movie. Not even an extra.
No.
That's a really, I did not notice that, but now that you mention it, yeah, there was nothing. I mean, like, she was like the closest person to maybe being a person.
The one teacher was black at the new school. The one journalism teacher was black at the new school.
That's right, but he only had like one scene. That was it, and like that was the whole thing. It was just that one part. And he's like, you're doing good, and you just keep on plugging away, and eventually, you'll get it, type of thing, whatever. Like, it's, hey, at least the only black character was a voice of encouragement, unlike her other teacher which was discouragement. So at least At least there's that, I guess, that they were able to be quote.
Yeah.
At least they were like being quote woke enough back then to like have the black character be like a cool and encouraging person, which
And I mean, to be fair, the term woke was born in the black community, so it kind of makes sense.
That is true. Now it means anything I don't like, where if I see a black person in a movie or a female main character, it means woke and therefore bad. So that's the new version of it. Which kind of makes sense because white people, colonizers have taken a lot from black people physically. So I guess it makes sense to also do it culturally. So, anyway.
Well, they do it culturally all the time. They stole rock and roll, they stole jazz, they stole. It's like a lot of things that.
Well, not stole, but it was the record company and shit. Because back in the day, black people don't get. Like, I guarantee you, like, back in the day, it wasn't like, oh, this white guy's playing the blues, he can't play the blues. But, like, nowadays, after, like, 80 years of exploitation, some people get a little bit protective about that shit. They're like, maybe don't do this. They're like, and then, like, how dare you tell me not to do that? Anyway, sorry, I'm going off.
When you had people like Elvis calling himself the king of rock and roll, when people like Chuck Berry and Little Richard existed, that's kind of it's like
it's a little bit different, it's so. But he's them, and I think Terry might be the closest thing. She might look like Italian, maybe. That's like as close as you're gonna get, like like
the actress.
What's that?
The actress is Jewish.
Okay, well, so that's the closest thing that you're gonna get to like quote unquote ethnic, and even then nowadays most Jewish people are considered white, which doesn't really make any sense if you think about it, because you have African Jews, you've got Persian Jews. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off a tangent here, but like I'm just saying, like lumping everyone to these neat categories usually doesn't work out when you actually dig deeper into it. But anyway, But anyway, what else happens?
So we've got so she decides, after being taught how to be a pimp, she by her 15-year-old brother, her and her basically, the only people that know are her brother and her best friend Denise. So she goes to her parents are out of town on a Caribbean vacation. She enrolls in a rival high school, which I didn't know you could do without your parents.
Yeah. How would you even do that? Yeah.
I guess records didn't exist in the 80s.
They did. They were just filed differently.
Yes, I just don't know how easy it would be to just enroll yourself in a school and as the opposite sex. It's just
there's no birth certificate. No, I mean, just nothing. Apparently, you can just show up. I mean, to be fair, Cameron Crowe did that when he was doing research for Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So maybe
I'm pretty sure they actually worked with the school system to have that happen. Okay. I'm assuming. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But the also like. I mean, the other thing too is like you're enrolling in a school in a district you don't live in, because it's in the same town, but it's like I know when I was a kid. I mean, I went to a private school, so it was different. So like private Catholic school. So, but I know that like if you lived where my house was, you were supposed to go to Whitmer High School. Yeah, you couldn't just decide I want to go to Start High School, which was literally like a couple miles down the road. It's like. Yeah, because they were in different districts. So yeah, it's weird. But yeah, it's speaking of Start High School though, I just wanted to bring up a point that I always found funny. There was also like a drugstore near in that area in that district, and it was called Start Drugs. Okay. When I was a kid, and I always found it really hilarious. It was a drugstore called Start Drugs. But anyways,
that's awesome. America's awesome.
And nobody probably saw the irony in that. Anyway, so basically she ends up going to this new school as Boy Terry with a Y instead of an I.
Terrence.
Yes.
Which, oh my God, that makes it even crazier. So We gotta go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I'll say something after you say this.
Yeah. So she ends up first thing that she's there, she gets bullied by the 80s best bully, William Zabka.
Wow,
Yes.
she looks like Ralph Macchio.
Yeah. They modeled her look after the Karate Kid. They literally did.
Yeah, and
And
at one point they even mentioned Karate Kid in the
they even mention it, and then it's funny that the bully in this movie is the bully from the Karate Kid. So it's like,
who looked like he aged like 7 years in 1 year. It's like
that's the
he
other
went
thing.
through a growth spurt. What's that?
He was one of the youngest people in the cast, though. Which is
Really?
hilarious.
Wow. Well, he went through a huge growth spurt from 84 to 85.
He was like 19 when this film was filmed.
That's crazy,
and
man.
I think Joyce, who plays Terry, was like 28 at the time.
That's
so
insane, man. That is crazy.
yeah, and Billy Jane, who played Buddy, he was actually his appropriate age. I think he was like 15 or 16 when they filmed this. So it's
yeah, William Zabka, and he really beefed up from 84 to 85, man.
yeah.
He plays a total asshole. Way worse than the Karate Kid, mind you, because
Mhm.
Karate Kid, he only bullied Daniel LaRusso. He wasn't bullying anyone else. That's the Cobra Kai's, I guess, were just told to leave everyone else alone except for people who become your enemy, and then you just treat them relentlessly bully them. And
This was from what's called the Billy Zabka bully trilogy. There was there was Karate Kid, Karate Kid, this, and Back to School. He was like a bully in all those, and they all came out 3 years in a row. So it's like,
and then it was like, then he got like no work after that for like years, and then became like a director, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And now, of course, he's in Cobra Kai, like my favorite TV show of all time.
Yeah.
So, and he plays brilliantly in that show. Great actor. Anyway,
yeah.
sir.
Anyways, Terry meets. I'm just going to refer to the character as Terry instead of he or she because it'll make it easier.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, Terry meets this guy Rick Morehouse, who after she's bullied by Billy Zabka's character, she's it's like her first friend. He's a guy that moves around a lot, so he doesn't have a lot of friends. He's and he's like he's kind of socially awkward. So she tries to stay close to Rick because you can kind of tell right off the bat she kind of finds him attractive for some reason. So not saying he's not, I'm just saying,
That's what it is. Yeah, I mean, and then I swear to God, I think they modeled one of the characters from Stranger Things off this guy. I forgot his name in the Stranger Things, but he's got like the same exact hairdo, the same type of clothes that he was wearing.
Yeah. Who, like Steve or something in Stranger Things?
I think Steve. I think they had to have modeled him off this guy because I mean he looked almost identical. Like the haircut was almost spot on. The type of clothes he was wearing. Of course, in that movie he was a bully. I mean that show, but
yeah. Speaking of other things too in this movie, guys, that is, she does have a boyfriend named Kevin who is a college boy.
Guy's a total asshole. Total.
Yeah.
Not asshole, just very surface level person.
Yeah, I think he was like 29 when they filmed this movie too. So
looks like it.
Yeah. So that's her real college boyfriend, and he's kind of an asshole, like your typical like wannabe Wall Street guy or something, So
he's not totally an asshole. He has asshole-ish qualities. That's how I got it. I mean, that's what he was giving off to me. He wasn't like a complete asshole, but like he just had like that kind of vibe.
Yeah, and that's her boyfriend. That's another thing though I noticed too. It's always funny. I don't know, maybe there was like one or two girls I knew in high school that actually dated a guy that was in college, but it was because like they were, sophomores and met the guy when he was a junior or a senior, and then they continued to date sort of thing. Right. But that's just so weird. Like this, it's always in these movies where it's like, the girl's dating the college boy, it's just weird, especially in the 80s. So
because like it's supposed to be like a status symbol, like, oh, she's so cool, she got a college, whatever, like college boy. Or even the college girl, that was another thing, like the whole oh man, you got yourself a college girlfriend, boo, type of thing. Like, okay, whatever.
Well, when I was in high school, I had a college girlfriend that lived in Canada, and nobody knew her, and that's why they couldn't see her. I'm joking.
Exactly. I had one that was from Brazil, I think, when I was like 13. Not college, but I mean, no, I did not have a college girlfriend when I was 13 from Brazil. No,
I
I'm
almost dated a girl from the Netherlands when I was cool because she was really attracted to me, but because I was so shy, she thought I was like snobby.
right.
And I found out about it. And she because of that, she started dating my best friend. So it was like,
Well, whatever. Like,
yeah, it's okay.
I guess
that was closest I came to a foreign girlfriend.
Yeah, that's cool. Yes, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. So basically, things happen at the school. There's an instance where Terry's in the classroom, has to use the bathroom. They have this thing where there's the bathroom pass, which is there's a boys one and a girls one, and ooh, which one is Terry gonna pick?
Obviously the boys one.
Yeah. And so Terry goes into the bathroom, and there's urinals in there, so she can't obviously use the urinal because she doesn't have a penis.
Right. Which I don't understand. Why not just go into the stall? You're gonna be self-conscious thinking someone's like you're pooping in there. Who gives a shit? Yeah. Whatever. And
I had a friend years ago who he don't ask me how the conversation came about, but he always told me that he never stood up to pee.
Okay.
So
you know how the conversation came up. You just randomly
do not remember how the conversation came to be with this, but he said that he always sat down when he peed, and I'm like, okay, dude, you didn't have to tell me that. But
I've actually heard apparently that's I don't even know where I read this. There's something to do with I think Jewish law or something where there was seen as cleaner because I guess you wouldn't get any drops on you or something. Whatever.
I mean, maybe that you wouldn't worry about pissing on your hand or something, but still,
it's just weird that they randomly just came up in the conversation with them. You just oh, by the way,
and it might not even been him that told me. It might have been his girlfriend that told me, but I'm still it's weird.
Still, well, that's even worse that she's volunteering that information. But you know what I mean? Wow. Talk about lack of privacy.
Oh,
that's crazy, man.
But I will tell you, I mean, anytime I think about the guy, if I'm reminiscing about something that happened when I was
right? Yeah, exactly.
I think of that in my mind too. Just
thanks a lot. You just ruined my whole memory of this guy. That's all I think about now is him peeing while sitting down. None of our other conversations, no other memory. That's it. It's not even a memory, it's the imagination of a memory. So it's oh Jesus. So yeah, we got back on. She has to pretend, but then she waits for the other guy to leave and then goes back because obviously she needs to go to the bathroom. So
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I do know there were bullies when I was in school that would make fun of people because they took a shit.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't know. At the same time, though, it's that's the dumbest thing to bully someone about, too. It's oh, you had to evacuate your waste like a human being does? Checkmate, liberal. What is it? It's okay.
Because, oh, you drank water.
Yeah, pussy. Now you're going to have to pee later on. Fuck you. You're going to have a good urinary tract, unlike me, who probably going to pass kidney stones. What the fuck? What an idiot.
Bully somebody about. Yeah.
Oh God.
So yeah, they that's one of the events, and then there's a situation where you were talking about earlier, there's gym class that she has to go to.
Yeah.
And I said I wasn't going to say he or she, but I'm saying she. But
it's fine. It's fine. We all know who she is. She's pretending to be a guy. Yeah.
So Terry had to go to this gym class, and they had to get dressed in the locker room, of course, and
right.
So she lights some toilet paper on fire to set off the sprinkler system in there.
Smart girl.
Yeah, even though I did read that the way that the one in the movie is, it's actually there should be like a piece of glass in there that actually that by the heat it actually breaks the glass and that's what sets off the sprinkler. And that part was missing, so it was a goof in the movie. So
I like how you researched that. You're like actually,
it just came up in some reading about the movie.
Like, technically, in order to do that prank, you need to. Which is another funny thing, because a sprinkler. Because in Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio's character does the sprinkler thing in the bathroom, and now you got. She's supposed to look like Ralph Macchio, and then she's doing the prank. Of course, it's not to do a prank, but it's because she doesn't have to do gym class. But there's lots of weird Karate Kid like Easter eggs. I was actually surprised of how many they had throughout the movie. To be honest, like I was thinking like maybe one. It's like about 3 or 4.
It is funny too that so there's these two like over the top nerds.
Oh God, these dudes.
Yeah. Like Ari Gross as Willie and Robert Fieldsteel as Phil, and they act like they're aliens from another planet and stuff. And like Willie's hair is like weird, like he's got like a colic in the back of his head that's sticking up. Like it's just. And
they've been at this for years apparently, and it's like they stick to the bit. Like even during lunchtime, they're still communicating via alien language. Like that's dedication, like
That's dedication. And then there's like a third kind of nerdy guy who always has like some kind of reptile animal with him.
How is that legal? He has a snake with them that eats rats or mice. Yeah, you just carry that around school? Like, okay, that's weird. I mean, fine, I guess if they allow it, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody in any of my classes ever brought a pet to school.
Least of all, a snake that eats animals. Like, which means it has teeth and could bite things. And, hopefully it's not venomous. So hopefully Mr. Reptile was smart enough not to bring venomous reptiles into the school. But who knows with this school? Apparently, he thinks the school.
He has some kind of like iguana or horned lizard of some sort on his sleeve in a gym class. And so once everybody's dressed, and of course the coach who's obsessed with bowling, by the way, from just random, he's like pissed off because of somebody pulled a prank and set off the that but then they start picking their teams. The last two picked are the two nerdy guys, and then they're gonna play shirts versus skins, and of course Terry is on the team that's supposed to be skins.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is another thing I never understood. I mean, I know they did this back then, but to make kids take their shirts off in gym class, it
seems like it was a movie thing, because I don't ever remember that happening in gym.
I don't ever remember that. That's what I'm saying. I don't ever remember that happening in my gym class.
I think it's a movie thing.
And plus, when I was in high school, we did have a locker room with a shower, but I think there were stalls in the shower. So there was never like one of these things where everybody's showering together in the same big room.
I think this is just something like they do in TV shows, movies. I don't remember. I mean, I always intentionally scheduled gym class to be the last class in school, so I wouldn't have to take a shower. I could just go home and then take a shower at home. But
I didn't want to take a shower at high school, but
that was what I always feared most. Like, you're going to take showers once you go to junior high and high school. I'm like, why would they make you do that? I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're like working out real hard. Yeah, you would want to, but like, why would they just?
When I was in grade school, we never had to shower after gym class, and when I was in high school, I don't think they made us. I think it was just like if you wanted to, there's a shower there.
I mean, I would basically put on like copious amounts of deodorant, and I would pretty much like get my hair wet and essentially like wash my hair, basically. Like and I would just pretty much like just fill my body with deodorant, and that was it.
The only real memory I ever have from, and we're going off track here, but from the locker room in high school was that when my one friend. Or classmate, I don't know if we were really friends, would put on his shoes for gym class. He had a pair of Chuck Taylors because those were big in the 90s. And he wrote on the feet like L and R for left and right of his shoes.
All right.
and he did it not because he didn't know left from right. He just thought it was funny.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the same guy had a band in high school called Dyslexic Bob.
Wow,
which is the greatest name for a band ever.
That's a great name.
But he fought with my friend who was in a band, so I don't. So it was
Fuck him.
But anyways.
Wow.
But so there was what goes on now? We got so they guys so she fakes a stomach ache and so she can go to the nurse so she doesn't have to be the skins.
Be the skins, man. Not skinhead, like she wasn't joining like a Nazi gang or anything like that.
That's a completely different movie. That's like
that's a different movie. That's called just one of the I don't know, something. I can't think of it. I'll think of it later. I'll come up with something.
Just one of the SS. No.
Yeah, there we go. Just one of us, but just one of SS. Yeah, just one of us SS. Yeah, and then she pretends to be a Nazi in order to. Okay, never mind.
Wasn't there a movie?
I forgot that the actress is Jewish when I was saying that. So I'm like, wait.
Wasn't there a movie like about it? Like wasn't like The Believer or something about a Jewish guy that pretended to be a skinhead or something?
Well, no, he didn't pretend to be. He believed in fascism. Like he was like literally a Jewish neo-Nazi, and he hated like his Jewish heritage, and like he was.
Yeah, 'cause it's been years since I've seen that, so I couldn't remember the exact reason.
I've seen my favorite movies. I've seen that movie like 100 times. So Ryan Gosling's in it. It's like one of his first films. This is post Young Hercules, mind you, his greatest role of all time. And so he needs some work after his magnum opus was finished, right? And so he settled for The Believer and all these other movies.
I never understood how Hercules he went from looking like Ryan Gosling to Kevin Sorbo, but
I know this weird looking dude who's like a terrible person. Anyway, so
you go from a good upstanding, caring person like Ryan Gosling, who I've never heard a bad thing about, to being, you grow up to be a Nazi. Anyway, so
what else? So yeah, she does the stomach ache trick, and then and what else? She becomes friends with this guy Rick. Like she really turns on the guy level like way too high, like trying to overcompensate, like
Yeah, she's like trying to fend off Sandy, Sherilyn Fenn's character, because she wants to get with Terry. So it's like,
which I think was interesting, mind you. I think that could have been one of the things the director was talking about, because it's almost like a subtext where it's like girls will like another girl, but even like they think they're a guy because like only another girl would like basically be as sensitive towards like their ideas, or like so that's the reason why all the girls like him, because it's really a woman who like knows women basically. Like
it's interesting too, because Sherilyn Fenn in 2014 told the AV Club that she I thought Joyce made a really cute boy. I did. I was like, she's actually cute. So
I mean, she's Ralph Macchio. Pretty much. Like I'm more confident. I'm more confident Daniel LaRusso basically is what she is, because Daniel LaRusso was kind of shy and stuff, and she's much more like just
outgoing.
About it. Yeah,
boisterous. No pun intended.
Boisterous. I wasn't even thinking of. I wasn't even trying to do a pun there. Nice, thank you. Thank you. I did not mean to do it like that way. That's awesome.
I love that.
That's great.
So anyway, she starts friending the Rick guy. Yeah, and Rick she goes to his house and they're drinking beer too. That's another thing that on a weekday, like after school. I might just been hanging out with nerds or something, because we never drank beer after school. Well,
they're in high school. They're like what, seniors probably at this point, I'm guessing. Okay, but the thing is though, the way he offered her a beer, or him a beer, because he's playing. You're right. This is kind of confusing. So I'm gonna try to we'll just say her, because it's gonna be hard to go back in between the roles here. But so when he offered her a beer, though, it was so casual. Like this was a normal thing for him. Like it wasn't like, oh, I got to sneak one of my dad's beers. Like it was just like, oh, hey, do you want a beer? Like
it's just like if somebody came over to your house and like, hey, do you want a Pepsi? It's just like
so apparently we live in a town where there's like no parental supervision whatsoever, or parental care. You got her parents off in the Caribbean during a school year, like not even during a holiday. So okay, that's kind of weird. Like
I always find it funny in these movies too, like where parents just take vacations without their kids and leave the kids home alone.
It's like you have a family, you dipshits, and you're just like, yeah, we'll just go on this cool life-changing, cruise that they'll have memories for the rest of their lives of. They can stay home and order a pizza on our credit card.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks, okay, awesome. And then apparently this guy's mom just go ahead.
Too, when my parents were trying to salvage their relationship when it was ending, they did just saying, I know it's just depressing, but they did the exact opposite. They sent us to Florida.
At least that's cool because you got to go somewhere, but
sadly it was in the middle of the summer. I mean, it was like 3 months of the summer when it was the hottest in fucking Florida.
Yeah, well that's not great, but
had to live with my aunt in Florida for 3 months. But we had no idea. We had no idea that was why we were being sent down there.
You're like, yeah, we got a cool vacation. This is the best summer of my life. And that's like terrible.
Hanging out with my older cousin and making him drive me all these places. It's just like me. But
I mean, that's not hilarious. It bullied you, but
I'm just saying, it's just hilarious. He probably hates me because he had to do that. I'm just thinking if I was in his shoes and some younger, kid is like,
God damn it, my cousins make me drive all over the place. I was supposed to pick up chicks this weekend, bro. Yeah. Speaking of which, I don't know why. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just totally random. It's funny you say that because my cousin's gay, but still.
Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, that is funny. But speaking of which, I don't know why that made that connection because I was thinking Florida beaches, even though California is probably more beaches than. I guess there's beaches in Florida, probably.
Oh, there's lots of beaches in Florida.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it reminded me of this weird beach picnic they have where Sandy basically convinces Ralph or Terry rather to go on a date with her because.
Rick, not Ralph. Yeah.
Well, no, I was just making a joke about Ralph because she basically
Gotcha.
She wants to go out with Terry, and so she's like, "Oh, hey, I'll let your friend have a date," because she knew that she was trying to get him a date, asking all these girls at school, and everyone said no. So she's like, "Oh, this will be a perfect way to do it because then I'll basically pull on Terry's heartstrings by saying, hey, if you go out with me." I'll set you up with my cousin. Her cousin was like 6th grade, I'm thinking. I think I missed that part, but I'm like, wait, what?
They point that out. They say, she says, something about being in the 6th grade. So her cousin was literally like 12. And and then because then there's another part where it says, well, she'll make him a really good girlfriend in 5 years.
Yeah. She's like, oh, in 5 years she would make him really happy. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So is he grooming her to be his girlfriend in the future? Okay, listen, I got this on lockdown, right? We can't do anything now because I go to jail, but we wait this out for another 6 years.
But even later says something like, I would have been the coolest guy in 6th grade.
Exactly. Well, what else would you do in that situation? You'd be like, this is so weird. Why did she set me up with her 12-year-old cousin? What the fuck, dude? And so that's what I would do. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll just make light of the situation because this is really weird.
Hang out with a kid. Yeah.
I mean, what else would you do? I mean, there's you just can't just leave her alone, just get lost and get kidnapped or something like that. So now you got to basically babysit this person. Yay! Custom double date. Fuck you, Deborah, or whatever her name. No, not Deborah. It was
they're all drinking beers and stuff too. I was like, did the 12-year-old drink? I didn't pay attention.
I don't remember, to be honest. I wasn't fully paying attention to that part, so because the thing is, I think I was kind of zoning out, and then all of a sudden he said something like, "Oh yeah, 6th grade's a total drag." And I'm like, "Wait, did I hear that correctly?" I was like, "Wait, was she talking about being in 6th grade that it was a drag, or is she saying currently?"
And
for me, because for me, 6th grade definitely was a drag for me, but I'm not currently in 6th grade. Hopefully, I'm 40, but
yeah, I hope you're not in 6th grade because I'd be really worried about you.
I just could not learn that past that level.
I'd be worried about you for several reasons. No, but
I'm pretty sure at a certain threshold, like even when you're in high school, they're like, okay, like you can't keep failing until you're 22. Like you're gonna have to go get your GED. Like like we can't keep you over here. Anyway,
so
what else goes on here?
So get to the point where like there's she keeps having to like miss her boyfriend hanging out with him. He freaks out and says like, why'd you make yourself ugly with the haircut and all this other shit? So it's like,
oh yeah, so we got the whole like, you're not, be honest, I'm not trying to be like a guy here, but like,
yeah,
I thought she'd be way hotter with shorter hair than longer hair.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, I know it doesn't matter, but I'm just saying
it could have to do with the fact. To have a little bit to do with the fact, even though it was a really good wig, when she had longer hair, it was a wig. So
okay, it was a good. Yeah, I mean that fooled me. I didn't know, but yeah, I mean it's that typical thing, like you got short hair, so no, I can't be attracted to you. Really, you're wow. Like talk about preferences. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, crude here, but it's like you can't get hard because your girlfriend has short hair now. I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like, go see a doctor about that because, like, I don't know. Like, that seems very inconsequential. Like,
speaking of people that have no problem getting hard, Buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Buddy here cannot fucking control himself. He's a maniac brain.
At one point, he has like a study date, but but Kevin shows up looking for Terry and basically won't leave. So they're like, he's like cramping Buddy's style, and Buddy's just like all over this girl when Kevin leaves and stuff, and it's just like gross. But
it's almost a good thing, that Kevin was there to kind of like be like almost like a supervisor or like a what do they call it, the chaperone, essentially. Like
I kind of think part of him was there for that reason. So I'm not thinking that he's like you said, not a total asshole.
No, he just has asshole-ish vibes. He's not. He's one of those guys where he's a good person at heart, but there's just something about him that just like rubs you the wrong way. No pun intended. But anyway, sorry. That was
so anyways. Things happen there. Eventually we have a big scene in the cafeteria where Greg, Billy Zabka's character, is like, he at one point first off, Terry's trying to make Rick look better and stuff, and so buys him some new clothes and stuff, and does the whole she's all that thing to him. And
well, because she's, as a woman, she knows about fashion and shit, and so a lot of women are like that. Where they're like, I was like, us guys, like we think something looks good on us, but a lot of women like see the exact opposite in what we do. We're like, what's wrong with this? I think I look great there. They're like, no, you don't. I'm like, okay, well, fuck you. It's like,
this movie really got me thinking of high school, and I remember I was at a dance in high school, and my friend's date, who we're kind of friend, all in the same friend group or whatever, she saw the way I was wearing my tie, and she's like, oh, you got to unbutton your top button and pull it down a little bit and you'll look a lot better. And at first I was kind of offended. And then later on, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, yeah, it does look better.
So I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Trust them when they say this shit. Unless they're like as slavish as we are, then no, don't trust them because you actually have better sense than they do. But that's like a rare find right there. But anyway, what else?
So anyways, there's that situation, and then later, they're at the at one point, Greg pours a bunch of spaghetti all over these new clothes.
Spaghetti, Karate Kid, when he spills the spaghetti on. Well, no, he didn't. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
I was going to say I don't remember much of the Karate Kid. It's been years since I've seen it. So
he spilled the spaghetti on him, but he was distracted, and then he ran into a big pot of spaghetti, and he was laughing at him. But that could have been like a little wink to that as well. Yeah. That he's like the same kind of. Anyway, go ahead.
So anyways, that of course makes Rick a little mad and everything. And then later the like next day, I think or some other day in the cafeteria, Rick gets up on the tables and points out, Greg, and does this whole big, soliloquy about how he's basically being sarcastic and talking about how great of a guy he is and how he had this, has this whole thing where he just loves pouring food on people and everything.
And now he's a messy baby. and stuff like. Because I forgot to mention, there's like this weird running gag throughout the movie where he's got like these two henchmen that never have a single line, and he's like teaching them like various like exercises, like this is great for your deltoids, this is great for your shoulder strength or whatever. But he's always like doing it to like pick on kids, like he's like bullying kids, but he's like demonstrating how that like works the particular muscle that he's trying to do. Like he's like, oh, because he gives one kid a wedgie and he's like, oh, thanks for the help, kid, or whatever, you know, and he goes, no pain, no gain. That's a big, you know, thing he said. And he lifts tables, the lunch tables a lot, and it like spills off the kids' lunches. That's one of his quote exercises too, that he's teaching these two guys who I guess are his friends, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then so basically that ends up making Greg's girlfriend leave him, and she's like the hottest girl in school supposedly or whatever. And Rick has a crush on her, and so Rick just he's got this new confidence, and so Terry, you know, encourages him after Terry kept trying to get him a date, and at this point, basically, you know, says, you know, you just got to ask somebody now because you've got this confidence or whatever. Anybody would say yes to you, and so he asks the girlfriend, and she says yes, that she'll go to prom with him, and of course that, you know, pisses off Greg or whatever. So
also because she kind of likes Rick now, so she's like, God damn it, don't pick Deborah. You know, she's like kind of pissed about that.
So then we have prom, and so at the prom, Greg and his former girlfriend were both named like prom king and queen, and she decides, oh, we're not going to do the typical prom king dances with the queen dance, and we're just going to everybody dance, and it pisses him off even more. Right. And then he picks a fight with Rick, and they get in this big fight. At the same time, Kevin shows up at the house, and Buddy's there and wondering why Terry's not there and asking about it. And then he says, I'll show you, you know, and you know, I just got to dress up. And then he puts on one of those shirts that looks like a tuxedo.
Really?
So they show up at the prom, and the prom is on a beach, and there's like this fight going on between Greg and Rick. And then at one point, Terry gets involved and jumps on the back of Greg and tries to stop him from, you know, beating up her infatuation, I should say. And so he basically, you know, beats up the bully in front of the whole class. Terry's boyfriend shows up and discovers the ruse, you know, and assumes that, and then Rick ends up assuming that the secret was that Terry is gay.
Yeah.
Because Kevin says that's, you know, that he's Terry's boyfriend. So, and then we have a scene where, to prove that she's not gay, she just pulls out her breast to Rick.
Just flashes him. Yeah.
And she admits to loving him. Rick rejects her. She does kiss him in front of everyone. And Rick says something. He says, you know, don't worry, it's okay. He has tits.
I know, really insensitive thing to say. But at the same time, though, I mean, he was like, I mean, she tricked him and thinking like, think about how confusing that would be, though, too. I know. Like, you have someone who's like pretends to be your best friend, or maybe not pretends, but and then like all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, I've just been tricking you for 2 weeks. It's just like, wait, what? Like, I got to know you as this person, and now you're just like, yeah, you know.
Like,
oh man.
So anyways, she's like heartbroken and everything, and goes back to her house and writes her article that's going to be submitted. Yeah, that's right. She did go to the school, you know, she was trying to get into that internship at the Sun Times, and so she ends up submitting this article called I Was a Teenage Boy.
Yeah.
About her experience. Then she ends up returning to her own school, and then the article is printed in the newspaper, and because she wins the thing and earns her dream job at the newspaper, but she's still, you know, missing Rick. And this was after, by the way, earlier on the thing, Buddy ends up having sex with Sandy.
There was this weird part too about that where I forgot to mention that, where she gives kissing fish as a gift for Terry, and she like starts undressing herself, and then Terry's like, I gotta go. She goes to her brother's like, dude, there's a girl upstairs, just go, she's ready, just go for it. I'm like, wow, like, yeah, just anyone will do, apparently. like that's
That's all you got, because women are like that. They get all hot and bothered about one person. So if that person isn't available, it's like, hey, might as well settle for their little brother. Like, what the fuck?
Like I'm tapping you in, bro. Like it's just like.
That's not how
Anyway, I know. Anyway, I just want to admit I forgot about that part, but
it's not wrestling. It's sex. It's
yeah. Well, it could be wrestling, but
yeah, fun wrestling. Naked wrestling. So anyways, just wanted to point that out because now he's not a virgin and he's like, whatever.
Right. He thinks
feeling
so cool.
more confident or whatever. So they're hanging out outside on the street. Buddy gets his license and is picking up Terry in front of the Sun Times building, and then randomly Rick just shows up and says he read the article, and realizing that he really has feelings for her, they reconcile and make plans to go on a date and all this other stuff, and they go for a drive in Terry's car. But before Buddy, they say, hey, come on, buddy. Before he can join them, a random blonde woman on a motorcycle rides up and beckons him with a smile, and he climbs on the back of the motorcycle.
Who was this person? Was that like a cut scene that they didn't tell us who that was? Or like
I think it was just random. And she looked like she was about 35.
So a grown-ass woman just picks up a 15-year-old kid.
Or 16-year-old. License now, so yeah, but still.
Oh right, 16-year-old kid. Again, their parents are probably off on another cruise, I guess, or something. Who maybe they're like in Alaska. They do they went to the not Rushmore Bay. They go to Mount Everest or something like that. Yeah. Doing what they're doing. It's like what your kids are doing, guys. Like you got your daughter pretending to be a guy, changing schools, which apparently she can just do without any problems, and like for 2 weeks, then just go back to a regular school. I guess. Does she transfer all of her grades from that school? And could you really only go to school for 2 weeks and it seems like you'd have to be there for more, but who knows? And so that's the story of Buddy. He got kidnapped by this older woman and sold him in for sex trafficking. we don't know what happens to him after that.
We never hear from Buddy again.
Nope. They just right off into the sunset, and that's the last one I'll ever see.
Yes.
No, sorry, that's really
now they're being trafficked and like that was what the Sound of Freedom was all about.
Yeah, that movie. Yeah, great stuff.
Joke. So so do you want to hear a little bit of trivia here about this movie?
Yes.
Okay, so its origins are Shakespearean. It's loosely based on the 12th Night. So yeah, a little bit, because there's a character in that, Viola and Cesaro, who is a female that pretends to be a man.
Okay.
So, yeah. Terry was based on Ralph Macchio, like, when she was a guy. Yeah. Jennifer Jason Leigh was up for the lead at one point.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So Lee McCloskey, who played Terry's boyfriend, this is just a random thing. He was roommate and classmate with Kelsey Grammer at Juilliard.
What? Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah. Heiser, Joyce Heiser was really interested in making this movie because she thought it was better than a lot of other like teen comedies at the time, and its look about gender roles and things of that. So she really wanted to make it.
It is a good like message or whatever to it.
Yeah, she originally in her contract had a no nudity clause.
Yeah.
So, but even though this is a female director, the director was convinced that the only way to do the scene was for her to go topless.
God. Wow.
They shot it in two different ways, but Heiser saw both versions of it and decided that the one, she says, and the director says, so I finally persuaded Heiser to reconsider. I added the boobage.
Wow.
And I said, I keep writing the scenes. Honestly, I think you've got to show them. I was like, okay. But Heiser's best friend at the time was actress Rosanna Arquette. And she kept telling her that she shouldn't do it, that she shouldn't show her breasts in the movie.
Yeah. But it's also interesting too, because didn't Rosanna Arquette have a transgender sibling?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like,
yeah.
But she died though, right? Recently, right?
Yeah, she died sometime in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, because Rosanna said I would say you shouldn't do it because no one will ever look you in the eyes again as long as you live. On the other hand, people would look at you and see those breasts forever, even when you're an old lady. And I said, wow, I'll strip myself after hearing that reason.
I mean, it was like a split second. It wasn't like it was, I mean, it was like...
Exactly.
It wasn't like...
I honestly think when I saw this movie, it was probably the first time I ever saw a woman's breasts.
Really?
Yeah, it might have been.
So me too. I don't remember anything except for the gym scene. Like that was...
Here's a really weird trivia about this movie. So you know how Rick was obsessed with James Brown.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In his bedroom, he had all these James Brown things, and they didn't even play a James Brown song in the movie, which I thought was weird. But he did do some sort of moves here and there a little bit. But James Brown himself spent 3 days on the set helping Clayton Rayner, who plays Rick, to perfect his dance moves.
Okay. That's interesting.
So here's another interesting thing. So with this movie being directed by a woman and being, this movie about, sexism and stuff like that, the director said, I fired our first cinematographer because he refused to shoot my shot list during screen tests and kept declaring, don't worry, sweetie, I'll make your film look good.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And she says, I said to him, have you read the script? He said, don't waste my time, honey. So I fired his ass. I didn't want to waste any more of his time.
Yeah.
I like this woman talks. It's just funny.
Bye-bye. Doors right there. See you later.
Yeah. And as of this article that I'm reading on Mental Floss that was written in 2022, a sequel could very well happen. Joyce Heiser, the director says, Joyce Heiser and I had lunch a while back and she pitched me a hilarious idea for a sequel. So far, we haven't sold it, but we also haven't tried that hard. We need a producer, but we would love to do it. It's a hoot. Yeah, so that could be interesting. Yeah, so any other thoughts here about this movie?
No, not really. It's just something I would recommend. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
A movie that you have to pay attention to. You can't just like watch it in the background. You need to actually, know the plot, feel it out,
And I mean, I think it holds up, and it's worth watching. Mm-hmm. Folks, if you're still listening, be sure to go to all2reeltoo.com, and you can find all of our social media and things of that nature. Follow us on all those platforms that we have listed there. If you click the Twitter, the site known as twitter.com.
Yeah.
Not X. Anyways, so if you click the little X logo on there, it'll take you to Cullen Park Productions Blue Sky account, because fuck Twitter, fuck Elon, and fuck billionaires. Anyways, so see, it comes full circle from the beginning of our episode. But be sure to check out the if you want to help the world in any way, check out the charities that I have listed in the show notes here. We got some good charities there. If you come across any of those charities and think they're bad, let us know, and let us know why. And message me at mike@cullenpark.com for that, or anything else. Let us know of any movies that you want us to cover, like any 80s movies that you wonder if they still hold up, like this one. We'll check them out. Just do it. Spread the word about the show. Go to your social medias and spread the word. Share the episode. Mm-hmm. Just remember that I love you. I'm not Cyndi Lauper.
No,
that's a reference to a line in the movie.
That's right. How about that? Yeah.
And Sesame loves you.
Yeah.
Fight the patriarchy. The Christo-fascist patriarchy.
There you go. It's so hard to say. It's so hard to say.
I said it right this time.
It's so hard to say.
Christo-fascist patriarchy. Fuck Elon Musk. I said that already. Free Palestine. Trans lives are human lives. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.